What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today we are turning this beautiful tri-tip into this. That's right, we're making brisket for two. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, Jake, you cook a ton of meat. What do you do with it all? And most people know that there's only two of us, and my wife eats way healthier than I do. So, my neighbors love me. I also have a team of 25 at the office, so we do barbecue Mondays. It goes in the office and the team tears it up and they enjoy it. So it's a good little bonus for working at the company. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna treat this like a brisket, because a lot of people don't wanna do a whole brisket because there's only a small group. So we're gonna do brisket for two, brisket for three. We're gonna start with my barbecue bottle here, custom made. I'm making a couple videos today, so I've already got some salt and pepper in there, but I'm gonna reduce this a little bit. Get my pepper can in here and we will grind some fresh cracked pepper. All right, so we've got probably a tablespoon of fresh cracked pepper here. There's already a little bit of salt and pepper here that was 2 parts pepper and 1 part salt. The other thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take some of this Kettleman's Grill Lone Star brisket rub, and this has got some salt, spices, black pepper. It already has some black pepper in it, but I want a little bit more, and some celery seeds, some dehydrated garlic. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mix some up. Kind of eyeballing it. As you can see I got a fair amount of pepper in there, so I'm going to add some more because it's got a good amount of pepper in it. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit more of each here. So probably 1.5 tablespoons, and then I'm going to call this same thing, maybe 2 tablespoons. That'll give us enough to get both sides done. Beautiful. Now you can use this just by itself. You can get that at abbbq.com. I have a discount code RumandCook11 if you want to pick it up there. Let's talk about the star of the show here. This is a beautiful dry-aged tri-tip. Now, to be honest, this is great as just a steak. But I want to do something a little different. And it's been a long time since I did one of these as a brisket, so I get to benefit from it. But this is a dry-aged tri-tip from Porter Road. They recently reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to share some of our meat with your audience? And look, I like high quality meat. So I said, absolutely. All you gotta do is you gotta give me a discount code or something. So there's a link in the description to save 15% off your first order with Porter Road. They've got a lot of great meat, lots of options, some options you probably haven't seen anywhere. But we're gonna leave a little bit of fat cap on this guy, just the way it is. I'm not even gonna trim it. It's not that, spot is a little thick. Just one little spot here. Let me get a knife and I'm just gonna take that little spot off. You can see it's closer to 1/2 inch, so I just wanna level it off and make it closer to 1/4 inch. Difference here is that this is like super nice soft fat, right? Unlike a brisket, it's got a lot of hard fat there. So this is cutting super easy. And I got a little piece there we'll take off here. And just like that. The one thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to use a binder, which you guys don't see me use very often, but because this is a coarser rub, I want a little bit of extra moisture to make it stick. It's also 30-mile-an-hour gusts, so I want to make sure as it drops there, it sticks there and doesn't blow all over the place. W sauce, one of my subscribers turned me on to it a couple years ago, and if you're a fan of like Worcestershire sauce, this is the sauce that you need in your life. Every single person I have introduced to has loved it. Not sponsored, just a great product. And I think this is my last bottle, so I need to go in and order some. So we're gonna start in the bottom here. And again, we're gonna do a fairly heavy coating of this coarse rub. With that extra moisture on there, you can pack it in and it sticks really well. Forget the end here. The one thing I should tell you is that when it comes to tri-tip, you got to remember there's the grain kind of shifts. So right now at this thin end, it's kind of going through here, but as we get over here, it starts to go that way. All right, so when we cut it, we got to remember that. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit more chewier than it should be. And it's not the cut of meat, it's how you cut it. Beautiful. Pack all kinds of flavor in this little piece of meat. Now, the one thing I should tell you is that today we're using the Komodo Kamado. Obviously, it's running. You can see some smoke. We're using some white oak that I cut from my wood pile, and we're using some Bear Mountain cherry. We're also using the Komodo Kamado cocoa char. Let me show you how we started this guy. And let's get this guy on the Komodo Kamado. You can see him doing some dino ribs. We got a bunch going on today. We're gonna dial this back. I got sidetracked. Today we're gonna cook at, or smoke at, 250. We're gonna let this roll and I'll bring you back a little bit. So it's been 3 hours. Let's have a look at our tri-tip. Ooh, man, that's looking good. Have a look at this guy. Shrunk a little bit, looking good. We're gonna give it just a little bit of a spray here. And we'll spray the other thing. Dino ribs over here as well. Try and put up my fire there. And check our temperatures here. Ooh, it's starting to feel good. Went a little too deep. 169. So we're gonna let this go for maybe another 20 minutes and then we'll get on to the next steps. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. Tri-tip is a very lean cut of meat. So I want to pull it off now so we can keep some juices inside. Traditional brisket I might take up to 180, 195 before I wrap. But in this scenario, I don't want it to dry out. So we're gonna add some tallow here, a generous coating. It's almost as much as I use for a big brisket, but I think, oh wow, that's looking good. Rum and Coke is blocking a little bit, but I mean, look at that guy. Super, super tender. Lots of moisture here. I'm just barely touching the top of it. Put the guy like so, and we're gonna move my rum and Coke. Well, cheers. And what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna wrap this guy up. Kind of the same way we do a traditional brisket, although it's a little funny being so small. It's a baby brisket, but really what you wanna do is you wanna keep it super tight, and we're gonna keep the fat cap up. So we'll go twice like that, and I'll fold this paper in here like so. Make sure it's tight. And look, this is the cutest little brisket ever. Let's put this guy on, throw it on there, and now that we're wrapped, it's at 170 now. So, I don't know, maybe an hour. We're up to 275 on our temps right now, just to give you an idea. We rode at 250 for the first couple hours, and then I just gave it just a little bit of a bump to 275. So now what we're gonna do is I'll wait until that is probe tender. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll rest it. All right, so I have a little bit of a conundrum. The brisket for two, the tri-tip, is at 201. It's done, right? I'm sure it's absolutely delicious. Damn, son. Ooh. It's hot, but if I let this rest for 30 minutes and try and film it, it's gonna be dark. I know it looks like it's a little brighter out than it is. I got my cameras dialed all the way up, and there's still some wind, so I don't want to put up my lights tonight. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna treat this just like a normal brisket. I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit since I brought it up to 201, 202. Let it cool down for a good 45 minutes, and then I'm gonna throw it in my oven at 155, and I'll see you tomorrow. So here we are, 18 hours later. Our brisket for two has been sitting in the oven for about 18 hours, just chilling at 155. Let's have a look, see what we got going on. Oh, it's so cute. Yeah, I did puncture a little bit of a hole in the bottom of it, so some tallow did leak through, but look, I got us the hook up right here. Man, tell me that does not look good. So it definitely shrunk a fair amount, but it looks absolutely delicious. Nice and tender. Can't remember, oh yeah, it's nice. There's my grain right there. So, right, it seems kind of super funny using a big brisket slicer on here, but it's brisket for two, come on. You know what, I'm slicing that the wrong way. I'm sorry. Against the grain there, Jake. There we go. kind of came apart a little bit on me. It's a hard cut to cut, brisket style, but we're kind of halfway across the grain, but looks good, holds together. I mean, that's a really thin cut. It is a little soft. I really want to get, again, it's a lean cut, so it's going to be a little dry as we get in here. I'm going to try a little bit just before we. Do not let the dryness fool you. That is actually quite tasty, but we've got a bunch of tallow here. Let's take it up one more notch. Man, look at that bark. I need to have that piece myself right now, hang on. That, my friends, is absolutely delicious. Like I said, it's brisket for two. There's not gonna be a ton here. I'm gonna turn this into sandwiches and tear through it. It's only about 11 o'clock, so I'm gonna keep it warm for a little bit so I can have a nice cold beer with it. I think it'll go perfect together. If you want something like a brisket, but you don't wanna cook a 10, 12, 14, 16 pound brisket, this, my friends, absolutely hits the spot. It tastes extremely good. The bark is great, the smoke is great, the texture is great, and you get some of that brisket type taste for two people. If you got some value in this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so below. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.